Hey folks, let's learn some more about the oil and gas industry, shall we? All right, it's our monthly email show, and these are July emails. So let's get to it. Number one, does the energy industry really contribute to job growth? Duh. We have over 300,000 jobs in Texas alone that was not here 5 years ago, and 100% of those oil and gas jobs. About 50% of all the economic recovery jobs in the U.S. are from the oil and gas industry. We're going to throw up some quick statistics, but basically Houston has not only surpassed its job numbers before the recession. It's more than doubled the number of employees. That's directly resulting from the oil and gas industry. So the oil and gas industry is a huge part of our economic recovery. And by the way, don't call it energy. It's oil and gas. Number two, what is well control? All right. So when you think about probably the most dangerous part of consequences of drilling for oil and gas is something called a blowout, where you lose control of that well. The blowout can cost lives, can destroy materials, it can destroy the environment. So it's something you don't want to have happen ever. And so basically, well control is the process of preventing blowouts from happening. And there's a bunch of parts that go into it. But one thing of note, almost every country in the world requires some type of procedure in place of well control. So that just shows you how important it actually is. There's a couple of things that go on. One is the well engineers use drilling mud, or you hear it called drilling fluids, of different weights and viscosities to control the pressures of the oil at the bottom of the well bore. So basically all that oil and gas is trying to come up because it's under pressure, and they use the weight of the drilling fluids on top to keep it from coming up. And that pressure of that drilling fluid pressing down is called downhole pressure. So it's real important that those engineers constantly monitor the dynamics of the well and then change the mixture of the drilling fluid to counteract the pressures at the bottom. And then the other piece of the pie is you have this absolute safety measure when you're drilling, and it's called a blowout preventer. A blowout preventer is basically a set of automatic valves that, as a last-ditch effort, will shut that well down if they lose control over it. And a lot of times they'll put several blowout preventers together in a blowout stack. Now, once the well's in production, that same function is handled by the tree. But once again, it's totally automatic. If it senses that you're losing control of the well, it shuts things down. So that's what well control is. Number three, we are a manufacturer of industrial products, and I have a top-notch sales team. We do well in several other markets, but have struggled for over 2 years to do business with the oil and gas industry. I know they buy products like ours from other vendors, but I'm really frustrated with our lack of success. Any suggestions? Yeah, there could be a bunch of reasons for this, but I can more or less guarantee that this is what's going on. You're talking to the wrong people and telling the wrong story. You and your sales team are probably used to, in other verticals, where you deal with the people that is the end user of your product, and that's who you're trying to sell to. Quite honestly, because the oil and gas industry is old-fashioned, if they're buying your products from another vendor, they have no reason to switch at that frontline level. What you need to do is go up a couple notches and be able to tell your story from a business point of view. You know, what does your product do better or cheaper or faster than your competitors? Because at a couple of levels up, they're starting to look at the entire project of whatever your industrial products are contributing part of. And so at that level, if you can come in and say, look, you know, we're not cheaper, we're the same quality as your existing vendor, but how about this? How about we guarantee you inventory? Because what happens when a 1-inch ball valve doesn't show up on time? How does that affect your project? So think about that. Go up a couple of notches in the food chain and rethink your story to be able to describe it from a business point of view, and you should have much more success. Number four, what are the top personality traits you look for when hiring an inside salesperson for an oil and gas approach? Okay, number one is they have to be social. This is a social industry. It's built on the reputation and doing business with people and networking, so sociability is real important. Number two, they have to be okay with rejection. And that's true of any inside sales position, whether it's in oil and gas or somewhere else, because you may get 60 or 70 or 80 or even 100 no's before you get that one yes. And you can't take that rejection personally. And then finally, they have to be persistent. So our own data shows that the next step when you first start cold calling, where the client goes to accept a meeting because he wants to learn more about what your company does, happens at about the 5th contact. Most salespeople give up at the 2nd contact. So if you think about that math, you realize that persistence is vital. Number 5, do you think the Keystone Pipeline will ever get approved? Yeah. So the current administration will approve it sometime soon. Then they'll take credit for our fostering our energy independence. Now, the truth is, if they got it approved today, it will be 10 years before a first drop of oil flows out of it. But the general public doesn't understand that. So I absolutely know that it will get approved. In fact, the chances of it being approved, or the chances of it not being approved, are about the same as in Houston having a snow avalanche in August.